Hello again, everybody. Mr. West here at Templemore High School. This is our weekly student assembly and parental engagement presentation, whatever it's called. But this is our opportunity to kind of have a meaningful dialogue and for me to share things that have been happening at the school over the last few days and then into next week and hopefully for our return in September. More on that in a moment. I'm going to start with some practicalities to kind of give you the heads up and some awareness of what's happening and what's changing about the school. So the first thing is that we're making some changes to our ICT infrastructure. Some of you will be grateful for that because I know some of you have had some issues over the last few weeks. So we're changing that in September. So there's a lot of work going on over the summer months, and that will mean that students' emails will change and also their login details. So they don't change at the minute. So you can't use that as an excuse for not doing your work. They will all change after the summer. So just to give you the heads up about what's coming. And that's a particular reference to students in year 11 and 13 because you'll be receiving your examination results in the summer via email. So you're going to be sent those details via your existing school email. So nothing will be affected with that, even though there's changes going on in the background. And then things will change in September. So there's some news going forward. The next thing I'm going to talk to you about is that the timetable has been completed for September. Now this timetable looks exactly as it should do under normal circumstances. As we know, things are not normal. So we're going in with the best intentions. We're going into September ready to go, and all your classes have been allocated and everything's in place and it's going to run smoothly. So we're really excited about that. So that's all ready to go, but I'll talk to you about what might happen in September and the effect on the timetable again very shortly. Right, next thing, a big thank you really to all students who completed the student survey, particularly year 10s and 12s. Your feedback has been invaluable, particularly because you've kind of pointed out some of the issues that you've had with remote learning, and it's come right from you directly, not through a third party to kind of complicate things. So we know exactly the issues that you're having, and overwhelmingly some of the biggest issues, and a lot of you having the same problem, is that it's disruption at home, meaning that you've got a younger sibling and an older sibling, and they're wanting the access to the device that you've got, or that you can't find a space in the house where you can actually get some work and focus on your work. So we've taken that on board. So obviously we'll think about how we can help you when we go into September, because as I've said many times before, remote learning will stay in some shape or fashion. And if we were to have a lockdown in the school, or a local lockdown as they are in Leicester currently, if that was to happen in Leeds, for example, you would have to switch back to what we've been doing for the last few months. So we need to make sure that's as sharp and as focused as possible. So we've taken your feedback and we've used it. So thank you for that, for those details. In particular, you've also praised product design and languages for having some of the most accessible work and some of the work that's actually easiest to kind of process when you're actually going through it. As a consequence of that, I've shared that with staff in school and curriculum leaders in other teams, and they're a very competitive bunch, I can tell you. So some subjects we're thinking, right, well, mine needs to be as good as that one. So thank you for that feedback. I've passed that on, and hopefully that will have a positive effect on other teams and other subjects. So you will see the benefits of that work. So your feedback is appreciated. Some other positive news really is that over the last few weeks, year 7s and 8s, the level of engagement has increased considerably. Really positive, and I just want to say thank you for that. You've really stepped up, and the levels of submission, the submission rates levels are much higher. So thank you for all those in year 7, 8 for getting stuck into that work. That's brilliant news. I also want to thank year 10s and 12s who've been in school this week. So we've had an absolutely brilliant week. And I think overwhelmingly 10s and 12s have found the experience a very positive experience. They've had the opportunity to meet with teachers, they've been able to talk over their experiences at home, and obviously they've been able to kind of fine tune their access to learning, and we've gone through those processes. And also, we've talked about COVID-19. We've had to talk about it because we need to understand it. Once you understand it, you can put it to bed and we can move on to something much more interesting than talking about viruses all the time. So we've had a really, really positive week, and it's been great to see students back in the building, and that will continue into next week. And then we've got the third week, which is obviously 2 weeks' time, which will be the last week of term. And the plan currently is that year 12s will continue to come into school. Details will be sent to you individually via email, as it has done in previous weeks. But essentially what we'll do is we'll focus on students in practical subjects, and it'll be focused on students who have had limited engagement with the work that's been set for them already. So we'll be contacting you, you'll be receiving some pastoral care and support. We'll talk about your well-being, your welfare, and then we'll make sure that you are fully focused on your remote learning and you can continue to make progress and you can get you hit the targets that you are set for yourself, and you can get yourself in the best position possible for when you leave us or you go on in your learning, whatever that might be in the future. So that's good news there. Year 10s, you'll also be back in that last week and you'll be in your existing tutorial groups. You'll have another 2 hours of work, curriculum based, and we'll support you with that. And also, we're going to do two other things really, which are linked. It's to do with safety over the summer. Normally at this time of year, we speak to all students about keeping themselves safe over the summer. Water dangers and risks in the community, etc., etc. And we're going to do the same, but we'll do it remotely. So what we're going to try and do is we're going to do a video next week or the week after and get that out to you. Those students that are actually in school, they'll get a practical session face to face about how they can keep themselves safe. And we might do some extra work on keeping yourself safe online as well. So there's something to look forward to there, to look after yourselves. Right. A few other points then. When we're doing some work on class charts, just again, be minded, I've said this before, but can you just check all the instructions carefully before completing work that is on GCSE Pod, because some of you are missing bits and pieces of work when you transfer it to GCSE Pod. So can you just carefully check all those instructions? That'd be great. Another one is Year 12s. Your behaviour has been exemplary this last week in school, and you've been fantastic in terms of your conduct and your participation, and you've really grasped the opportunity. So I'm really grateful for that. It helps me because it means that if you can do it, the other students in school can do it. So when we come back in September, it's going to look pretty good. So thank you for that. Free school meal vouchers. So we're looking at that over the summer months. You'll be allocated one voucher per family. That's just kind of ease the admin burdens on people in school, because obviously we've got reduced staffing over the summer months. There'll still be staff available to ask any queries via the app, but you'll be getting a voucher for your children, and that will continue right through. You'll get some more details on the 16th of July. Okay, so obviously that's part of that funding to make sure children are fed over the summer, so some good news there for some families. Right. Let's talk about the thorny issue of the Department for Education's guidance on how secondary schools reopen for September. As many of you will be aware that follow the news, I've switched it off now, it's just too much. The guidance was leaked earlier in the week, and then obviously it was published yesterday. It's an incredibly detailed document, which is going to take some processing. So I'm not going to go into massive detail about how this will play out in September. But what I will say is this: the proposal is that year groups will be designated as bubbles, and for those parents that have got children in primary schools, you'll be au fait with this. So a bubble will be the year group. So for example, in year 7 currently it's about 240 children. Those 240 students will form a bubble, okay, and they'll be protected from the rest of the school. So if you were to have an outbreak of coronavirus or COVID-19, then obviously that year group would be sent home if there was 2 or more cases. That's in principle. And then we could continue with the rest of the school, so things should be okay. It shouldn't be the damage of the whole school closing. Now, some of you are going to say, well, hang on a minute, I've got a child in year 7 and I've also got one in year 9. So that's going to be complicated. So we'll look at the detail as in due course. There'll be other complications because some people might come on buses and they can wear face masks on buses, but you can't wear face masks in school. So there's issues there as well. And then there's the general flow of the building about staggered starts and staggered finishes, and about break times being sectioned off, so one year group at a time, and lunch will be one year group at a time. And it's the general flow of the building to make sure that groups don't mix, bubbles or year groups don't mix with each other. So as you can imagine, there is an incredible amount of work to make that happen. And as I said last week, I'm going to do that in August for many reasons. But we are obviously working on a kind of sketch plan to give a general idea of what we propose to do. And if I have any details about that, obviously I will share that with you next week. Okay. But it's going to be complicated. But what we're going to try and do is get back in the best shape possible with all students back in the building. And what I'm really going to say to parents and to students for that matter is that I will do my very best to make sure it's as normal as possible. Okay, and I know that it'll be open to critique from many people, and you know it's great to have people's feedback, positive and negative, because it does help us to try and get things in the right positions for the vast majority of people. But we'll do our best, okay? And we're not going to be able to do everything that other schools can do for all kinds of reasons, okay? But we'll do our very best, and I'll share that with you in due course. It may well be that I send out another video in August, giving you the details, or a kind of a flyby of the building to kind of so you understand of who can go where and at what time. So we're going to work on that, and hopefully you'll have all the details be sent out via the app as normal at the back end of August. So when you come back on the 8th of September, that'll be the Tuesday, we're raring to go and we can crack on. Okay, right. I think that's it for this week. A very positive week in the main. Very tiring, I have to say, but very positive. So I'll leave it at that. I'll say thank you to those 10s and 12s again for your efforts this week, and thanks to all those students who are working hard at home. I really appreciate it, particularly as we get towards the end of the academic year. We all get a bit tired and jaded. The last briefing or assembly from me will be next Friday. I do not intend to do one on the last day of term, okay? Unless there's exceptional circumstances and things have changed dramatically again. So next week's will be the last one. I'll try and give you a sketch of what's going to happen for September, and then I will pick things up in the back end of August. Okay, so for now, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you all again next week, and try and enjoy the weekend. All the best. Bye-bye.